Let me speak to the part of you that's hungry for more, the part that knows there's something greater on the other side of your current struggles. You might not see the path clearly yet. You might be stuck in routines you hate, facing a job that doesn't excite you, surrounded by people who doubt you, or even wrestling with your own fear of failure. But somewhere in you, there's an ember glowing. I'm here to fan that flame until it becomes a blaze, because you have what it takes to transform your life once you decide you're finished tiptoeing around your own potential. You've heard it said that failure is not the end. Failure is part of the process. Failure teaches us lessons that success could never reveal. If you spend your life trying to avoid mistakes, you'll never actually try anything worth doing. People who never fail remain stuck, never moving past their comfort zone. They might feel safe, but they miss out on discovering what they're truly capable of. So, lose the fear of failing. Embrace that possibility like an old friend. If you aim for greatness, you have to risk humiliation and setbacks, because they'll sharpen you in ways comfort never will. It doesn't matter what your past looks like. Maybe you've been knocked down so many times, you're wondering if it's worth getting up again. Perhaps you've been telling yourself there's no point in trying anymore because you've run out of fresh starts. But here's the truth. No matter what you're facing right now, that situation is temporary. Your heartbreak, disappointment, frustration, or even your sense of defeat is not eternal. Sometimes life feels as though it's happening to you, bombarding you with problems you never asked for. But a subtle shift in perspective, realizing life happens for you, not to you, gives you the power to see every challenge as an opportunity to grow. Doors will keep opening if you're courageous enough to step through them. If you let fear paralyze you, those doors might as well not exist. Fear is natural. It signals you might be stepping into unknown territory. But doubt? Doubt is self-created. You summon it in your mind and allow it to question your ability, your worth, and your resolve. And if you feed that doubt long enough, it becomes the loudest voice you hear, convincing you to stay where you are. The antidote to doubt is discipline, consistent, deliberate action, taken even when you're not motivated. If you rely on fleeting motivation, you'll be inconsistent. One day you'll feel unstoppable, the next day you'll feel powerless. Discipline doesn't care about your mood. Discipline says, you get up today and do what needs to be done, no matter how you feel. Think of a job you hate, or any situation that grates on your nerves. The reason they pay you is precisely because you wouldn't be there if they didn't. And yet, if you resolve to be excellent, even in an environment you dislike, you're forging powerful habits. You're teaching yourself to do what's required, independent of how you feel at the moment. That's discipline, and discipline is what builds a stronger mind. A strong mind is not thrown off track by boredom, difficulty, or an annoying boss. It keeps its eyes fixed on a higher prize. Your future goals, your personal evolution, the dream you're nurturing in your heart. And if you ever catch yourself complaining, blaming your mom, dad, boss, or society, stop. Complaints keep you stuck. They deflect responsibility for your own life. Yes, sometimes you're in an unfair or painful situation, but focusing on blame doesn't fix it. Action fixes it. If you're stranded in a pit, you can lie there cursing whoever dug it, or you can start clawing your way out. The brutal truth is that no one's coming to rescue you. People can help, guide, or encourage you, but ultimately, you have to decide you're worth the fight. You're the one who has to put in the work, endure the setbacks, and stand firm in the face of self-doubt. That's what discipline is all about. It might feel like a dogfight at times. Life won't always be a smooth, upward climb. Some days you'll question your abilities. Some days it'll feel like you're slipping backwards. But everything good in life starts as a challenge. Nothing worthwhile just lands in your lap. Every big ambition requires that you battle through resistance, which tests whether you're serious. But that struggle refines you. If everything were easy, you'd never know the power inside you that becomes visible only when you have to push beyond your known limits. Maybe you need to picture yourself at the end of your days, lying in bed, surrounded by the ghosts of talents, ideas, and potential adventures you never pursued. Are they looking at you angrily because you never gave them life? Imagine that scene, because it can be a wake-up call. You have gifts that nobody else has. If you don't act on them, they die with you. And that's a tragedy. It's okay to feel fear, but your future self doesn't want to be haunted by regret more than it fears stepping outside of comfort. Let that image fuel a newfound commitment to act, experiment, fail, learn, and move forward, whether it's an inch or a mile each day. Discipline requires consistent dedication. Maybe you want to get up earlier, stay up later, or outwork everyone around you. That's great, but remember, it's not about punishing yourself or flexing how little you sleep. It's about optimizing your life in alignment with your vision. If you want something badly enough, you'll find a way to do it daily, to chip away at the obstacles. The difference between people who see their dreams come to life and those who keep daydreaming is that the doers show up again and again, without fanfare or applause. They show up when nobody's watching, and they keep going when others quit. Everyone has a dream. You might dream of financial freedom, a fulfilling relationship, or leaving a meaningful mark on the world, but are you personally prepared to match the level of that dream? If your dream is phenomenal, but your mindset is average, there's a mismatch. You can't expect a remarkable future if you're only willing to put in minimal effort. Don't get me wrong, this isn't about never taking rest or never experiencing joy. It's about clarifying your dreams, then structuring your daily actions to reflect those dreams. If you want to be exceptional, you must consistently operate at an exceptional level. Take a moment right now and ask yourself, what am I truly worth? What does my ideal life look like? If you know your value, you'll stop shortchanging yourself. You'll step up, ready to endure some bruises, some ridicule, some failures, because you're convinced that your life is meant for more. You won't settle for letting fear or hardship break your spirit. You won't let circumstances define you. You'll define yourself by how persistently you rise after every knockdown. Maybe you come from a background where discipline was never taught, or you grew up with undisciplined family members. That's no excuse to remain stagnant. Discipline isn't inherited. It's forged. It's a choice you make daily. You maintain standards and never give yourself slack. When you sense yourself slipping, you catch it immediately. That's how you build momentum. You don't rely on a cheerleader or an external push. You do it because you promised yourself you would, and your word to yourself is gold. Of course it's hard. When you set your alarm and it blasts you out of bed at 5 a.m., your mind will whisper, just stay under the covers a little longer. Discipline says, no, we get up now, because you know the feeling of satisfaction you'll have once the workout is complete, or the book is read, or the business plan is worked on, is far greater than the fleeting comfort of extra sleep. Conversely, letting yourself off the hook is a short-term pleasure, but leads to long-term regrets. Which do you want more? One trick is to remember that each day's scoreboard resets to 0. It doesn't matter how gloriously you performed yesterday. Today, you start fresh. You can either prove yourself again or lose ground. That might sound relentless, but it's also invigorating. Every day is a chance to show up as your best self. You can't live on yesterday's achievements forever, and you won't be doomed by yesterday's failures either. Today is your clean slate. What are you going to do with it? Sometimes just showing up can hurt. You might feel emotionally fragile or physically drained. You might be battling depression or heartbreak, and it's tempting to let that pain define you, to let the darkness become your permanent address. The key is realizing that pain is, at worst, a temporary residence. You're allowed to spend some time there if you must, but do not sign a permanent lease. Keep your eyes on the exit. Let the adversity you face become the soil in which your resilience grows. Let it shape you into someone stronger and more compassionate. If you ever feel like you're sinking into despair, remember that even if you have to crawl forward an inch at a time, it's still progress. Maybe you can't do what you did yesterday. Maybe circumstances have changed. That's fine. Work with what you have right now and do your best. That's discipline too. Choosing to keep going, even if you're slowed down by forces outside your control. The only true failure is giving up entirely. Once you quit, your growth stalls. You might keep breathing, but in your spirit, you'll feel that sense of being done. That's why quitting is never a real solution. If you quit, you might save yourself a bit of exhaustion now, but you'll face regret later. You can adapt, pivot, or take a different route, but do so intentionally. Don't simply give up. Perseverance says, I'm going to figure out another angle if the first attempt fails. Champions in every field share this mindset. They approach obstacles with curiosity and determination, not despair. They see each setback as feedback, telling them how to adjust for another try. If discipline feels daunting, start small. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. Cut out one habit that wastes your time. Replace a complaint with a productive action. Every time you honor these small commitments, you build trust in yourself. You teach your mind that you're a person who follows through, who does what needs to be done. Over time, your confidence skyrockets. It's not blind arrogance. It's rooted in the knowledge that you keep promises to yourself. Beware the trap of temporary success. Sometimes, after pushing hard, we achieve a goal and then let ourselves slip into complacency. Like an alligator that just had a meal and becomes lethargic, we lose our edge when we're too satisfied. Success can become a sedative. If you want to maintain excellence, act as though you're still hungry, even when your immediate needs are met. That doesn't mean you never celebrate or rest. It means you don't abandon the lifestyle that got you to success in the first place. It's common to look at other people's achievements and think they had it easier, or they must be more talented. More often than not, those who excel simply outwork and outlast everyone else. They keep showing up, keep learning, keep adjusting. They have the same temptations to slack off, the same doubts about whether they're good enough, but they remain consistent. If you truly believe in your potential, then outwork, outthink, and outlast everyone who's vying for the same success. That sounds harsh, but you must realize you're not the only one with big dreams. Competition is real. Discipline is your advantage in that competition. Don't be discouraged by how far you have to go. Instead, be excited by how much you can grow on the journey. When you look back in a year or two, you'll see a dramatic difference if you stay disciplined. You'll have experiences you never thought possible. You'll have built mental strength that no external force can easily shake. Pain, failure, heartbreak, they won't define you. They'll be part of your story, yes, but you'll wear them as badges of resilience. If you feel yourself slipping, remember you have the power to return to your core commitment. Discipline isn't about being robotic or joyless. It's about aligning your daily actions with your deepest values and goals. It's about living intentionally rather than drifting aimlessly. And yes, it will test your resolve. That's the point. You become something greater than you once were, forged by the choices you make in the hardest moments. In that sense, every difficulty is an invitation to discover untapped reserves of grit and creativity. However, if you do find yourself paralyzed by negativity, do not own it forever. Don't resign yourself to a perpetual mental prison. You might have to endure a season of discomfort or sadness, but keep looking for ways out. Seek help if you need it. There's no shame in reaching out for support or professional guidance. Sometimes discipline means admitting you need a helping hand. But the key is that you don't accept a dark place as your permanent destination. You keep striving, keep believing that you're meant to stand once again in the sunlight. Picture this. You're forging a legend of your own life, a story you'll be proud to tell someday. Every adversity is a subplot, every victory a highlight, and discipline is your through line. It shows you at your best, pushing forward, fueling your determination. 20 years from now, you can recall how you overcame obstacles that felt insurmountable at the time. That memory becomes a source of strength for future challenges. Your future self will thank you for not giving up, for finding discipline within yourself, even when no one else believed in you, or when nobody else was watching. Let me emphasize this. No matter how many times you've stumbled, you can decide today to rededicate yourself. You can say, from this day on, I'm living by a higher standard. I'm controlling my mindset. I'm refusing to settle for half measures. That's not motivational fluff. That's the raw truth about how people reinvent themselves. It starts with a decision, followed by consistent action. You don't have to accept the old patterns that once held you back. Sure, they'll try to reassert themselves, but you'll be ready. You'll say, not this time, and keep going. Sometimes it helps to remind yourself that time is short. We don't know how many days we have left. Do you really want to spend them passively letting fear and doubt dictate your actions? Or do you want to push beyond the mental barriers you've erected, see what you're made of, and let that hidden brilliance out into the world? Ultimately, it's your choice. Nobody can choose for you. But when you do choose discipline, you discover a life that's richer, deeper, and far more fulfilling than any fleeting comfort zone. The final thought I'll leave you with. Discipline pays off not just in your own accomplishments, but in the impact you have on those around you. Your example might inspire a friend, sibling, or even a total stranger who witnesses your dedication. You might never know whose life you touched by refusing to quit. So, let that knowledge be an extra spark, fueling your will to keep going. Start with one disciplined choice today, then another tomorrow. Chain enough of those decisions together, and you'll see an unstoppable momentum building. When obstacles appear, and they will, face them, adapt, and keep moving forward. Before long, you'll be on the other side, looking back, proud of what you overcame. And you'll realize that discipline, once something you thought you lacked, has become a defining part of who you are. That's how you change your life. That's how you become the person you've always known you could be. That's the power of a disciplined mind, and now it's time to use it. Go make it happen.